So what's been, and it doesn't have to be NRA or ILA related, but what's been probably your largest challenge to overcome? I'm curious.
Um, in my personal life, I mean, look, my father had me when he was older. I think he was 51 when he had me. And when you're in high school and your father's had a stroke and didn't take good care of himself, and you have to do that as an only child, that's definitely my biggest challenge. I mean, it helped me grow up very quickly, and having to deal with that in high school and college in my early 20s. So I think that was definitely a pretty big personal challenge. And it
Mhm.
really, if you're having a tough day, it kind of puts things in perspective for you that there's the grass can be greener, and it is greener. Um, and things aren't that bad, especially with what you never know what weight people are carrying on their back
Yeah.
when you're talking to someone. So always try to keep that in mind, and that's definitely probably the biggest challenge I've had to deal with.
I'm sure that that was character building, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of funny that the conversation headed this direction. I had a conversation last night late with a gentleman that was stopped by the house and the shop, and we're doing some work for us. And he asked me, he said, "Well, how you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I have no complaints." He's like, "Yeah, you do." I'm like, "No, I probably will again, and I have had plenty in the past." But I sat there in Sunday school and this past Sunday, and we were about, I don't remember, chapters 17, 16, 18, somewhere in there in Exodus. And I said to the class, I said, "You guys ever feel like you're disallowed the ability to complain after reading these stories, reading this history?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, I watched the Hebrews, the to be Israelites, sit there and get hurt and smacked around, whatever else, and God saves them all the time. And now they just got done watching every manner of horror befall the Egyptians. They
Hmm.
leave, make it through the sea, watch the sea come in on top of these guys and drown them. And they only make it out in the wilderness just a few days, and they're already complaining again. It's like, you guys don't learn your lesson. And then I thought to myself, well, it's not them. I'm the Israelite. I need to take this lesson and be more faithful and stop complaining about everything, because I really don't have anything to complain about. There are folks that I know, that I care about, that I see, that I read about, that I may never know, John, that have it far, far worse than I do. So you take stock of that and you try and be honest about what that is and what that isn't, and stop your boobing and be glad and be a little graceful to others, and be thankful for what you have, man. So
That's
I
right.
appreciate you sharing that with us. uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
what challenge do you have that you haven't invested? And this is an ILA question, this is an NRA question. What challenge exists that you're hoping to tackle? What Goliath needs to be toppled for John Commerford?
Well, from an ILA standpoint, the biggest thing is taking down the National Firearms Act. We spent a NRA and our others spent a ton of time trying to get that done through the reconciliation package months and months ago, related to the One Big Beautiful Bill.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, a parliamentarian stood in the way. Folks need to remember. I mean, we were kind of a trailer on the back of that thing. I mean, I can't remember the last time that gun policy was included in a tax bill on the federal level for the positive. So it is the first excise tax that's been removed in decades on firearms, but there wasn't a willingness to fire the parliamentarian. That rarely happens. Parliamentarian was last overruled in 1975, and then the Senate reversed that decision 5 days later. So just to show you how much of a nuclear option that would have been. But having a $0 tax is a huge win. It was the biggest win since 2005 when we passed the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. But it
Mhm.
opened the door to a challenge on the validity of the registration scheme that surrounds NFA items. And that's obviously everyone knows that's the real problem. The tax is an inconvenience, but it was designed to be a punitive revenue generator back when it was instituted because traditional gun control wasn't thought of in the same sense as it is today.
Yeah.
So they did it through a tax, and they did it through enforcing the tax. Well, the tax is gone. So enforcing the tax, uh, we're challenging whether you can do that or not, and we feel very strongly. I had an extremely well-respected tax attorney in Washington, D.C. call me right after that happened, who wanted to take on the case. And they are not a firearms attorney by any means. They're not a Second Amendment attorney, but they realized what we knew in our strategy, which was getting rid of the tax can potentially bring down the whole thing. Now,
Hmm.
it's not going to impact machine guns because that wasn't in the bill, but it is for short barrel firearms and suppressors. I know GOA has a challenge on that in Texas. We have our
Hmm.
challenge with SAF and ASA and others. And again, for the greater good, we're not in the same district. We're not in this, we've spread that paint to try to get something.
Yeah.
So if we can right that nearly 100-year-old wrong, that would be a huge thing for gun owners, a huge thing for the firearms industry, and a big thing for freedom. So that is on the horizon. That is the absolute goal. And the second one to that, not to diminish this one, I'd say they're parallel, is to get the Supreme Court to take a hardware case. Uh, whether that's mags, whether that's firearms, they need to decide this issue post Bruin. And we're seeing just too much egregious attacks on freedom in
Oh,
Massachusetts and Illinois and Washington and Colorado and others, California, Jersey, et cetera. So we need a decision on that. So we're going to keep sending those cases to the Supreme Court. And in 2005, NRA has three cert petitions for the Supreme Court. So, and there are other groups that have others. So we're giving them